hi guys and welcome. Happy New Year to you and your families. In fact, straight off the bat, I want to give you a big mwah from me. A big kiss. How does it get any better than this? What would it take for this to be your absolute best year ever? Well, one thing I'd like to suggest is you probably want to pay attention to the KISS principle. That is, keep it simple, Stuart. I always like to personalize things. You probably want to keep things a little bit simple this year. Now, don't let the simplicity of this message lose its impact on you. You see, if you've been following perhaps any of the business news in the last year or so, you could be forgiven for thinking that our banking systems, our government systems, and all systems are run by crooks, cheats, and liars. Well, far be it for me to say this, but these reports are coming out. And you know what? There's an old saying, if it looks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, whack, whack, chances are it's a duck. So we want to take a little bit of a breather here and look at what is going on right now. See, we've got the massive financial crimes coming out of London right now. Too numerous and too shocking right now to even mention in this video. We have got mass class action suits and many pending against our major banks. We've got major fraudulent activity going on in home loans in this country, and many of that in the news. Just go and check that out yourself. Those that I study that research the markets, all markets, but certainly one case is the gold and silver markets. They're saying they are obviously, embarrassingly, and certainly massively manipulated and being depressed at this point in time. And it's also come to light that just about every country in the EU to get into it has fudged its books to get into it. And now they're having a great difficult time keeping it together. Now let's look at the effect of all this. What do you make of all this? Well, listen, the Chinese stock market has doubled in the past 6 or 7 months. Russia recently put its interest rates up overnight, 6%. What the? 6%? Sweden at the same time has dropped its interest rates to zero, its neighbour. I think Switzerland's probably at zero as well, despite both these economies having fairly stable and robust economies going on. 0%. On top of this, in Switzerland, we've got the Swiss people have recently, they want their banks to hold 25% of their reserves in gold like they used to. I think they were the last to go off the gold reserve standard, and they want to be the first to get back on it. That was recently voted down just a week or two ago as well. So certainly there is a high degree of complexity and confusion going on out there in the marketplace. So I'm going to suggest to you, setting up this whole year, you want to keep it simple, stupid. You know, I heard an interview with Warren Buffett one time. He was interviewed on TV, and he likened or highlighted the differences between investing and the Olympics. And in this analogy, he chose the sport of high diving. He said, listen, he said, business investing, he says, it's not like the Olympics. In the Olympics or the sport of high diving, he said, if you attempt a very difficult dive off the top of the tower that's got, 4 or 5 twists and a few somersaults in it, even if you land that dive poorly, you go in the water an angle, you cause a splash, because of the high degree of difficulty, you score pretty big points. Compared to the guy that just the little dipsy head first dive that's very simple, even though executed perfectly, you don't get many points for that. I know in school when I went through, it was a similar thing in maths in the higher years. Your options were, there was 2-unit applied math for the very basic students. There was 2-unit math. There was 3-unit math if you were a little bit brighter. And then there was 4-unit math if you were a super genius. These are the people that go on to become actuaries and predict, natural consequences and tragedies and earthquakes. And they work out formulas for insurance companies and banks and all that sort of stuff. Now, here's the thing. The teacher said, in terms of 4-unit maths, he said, even if you do it, even if you fail and stuff up miserably, the average person gets like 80% or higher. So there was, again, a massive reward for a high degree of difficulty. Now, that may be true in the Olympics. Now, that may be true in maths. But let me tell you, that isn't true when it comes to business and when it comes to investing. You want to keep it simple, Stuart. If you don't understand something, don't do it. So what does that mean in property and in business? Listen, if you've got a great strategy out there when you can identify and buy distressed properties, 40 or 50 grand under market, and you can renovate them and sell them 40, 50 grand over market, and you can do that day in, day out, all right? Maybe not day in, day out, but if you can do that on a regular basis, hey, you've got a great little business set up there. Keeping it simple, if you can do quick cosmetic renovations to a formula and sell them or flip them if that's your strategy and make good profit there, that beats doing more complicated structural renovations any day of the week. You've got to deal with councils and time delays and interest costs and holding costs. All that sort of stuff adds up. The same goes for development. If you can perhaps identify blocks that can be subdivided and renovate on the front and build on the back, just simple stuff as opposed to doing a 32 unit, little high rise, that might be simple for you. Now this is all relative and it's all related to you. That might go the same with trading that you do as well. You might have some trades that you can just bank on, money for jam trades that you've identified that work for you day in, day out. They may not be the most glamorous, they may not be the most spectacular, but with a high degree of certainty you can bank on them. Now I'm not giving you any financial advice here at all. I'm not talking about that in any way, shape or form. What I am talking about is the principle of keeping it simple, stupid. Now I know it seems obvious, but hey, it comes down to your definition of business. And I say business should be boring, you should get your kicks elsewhere. But business should be a boring, repeatable process that produces a predetermined result, eventually without you. Now we may talk about this in another success tip, but right now, in setting up the year for 2015, I'm going to suggest to you that you want to keep it simple. Take it from me. This is Stuart. Mwah, to your success.